Alright guys, so I may or may not have clickbaited you guys with the thumbnail about me quitting school bus driving. Because technically I will be quitting the school bus, but not anytime soon. Like, I'm definitely going to be doing another school year, and then depending on some factors in my life, I could be doing some more. So I will continue to put out school bus content, but school bus content will come to an end at some point. And I know a lot of my community is school bus, like, you guys like the school bus content, but I'm just letting you guys know it will be coming to an end, and I will be quitting school bus driving at some point, but not anytime soon. But I do want to mention though that, no, you know what, let's not mention that, it's irrelevant. Just to state that, yeah guys, school bus content will come to an end, but you guys are still gonna get a bunch of school bus content for a while. But I do want to share with that, I want to share with y'all my pros and cons, because a couple people have commented like, yeah, share your pros and cons of driving a school bus. And I do want to mention though, like, this is the perspective of a 30-year-old who has no children, who lives at home, has very minimum bills, you know. And that's not for me to say like anyway at all that I'm better than anyone. I'm just trying to give you guys perspective of my perspective of pros and cons, because my pros and my cons could be very much different from another person's, a different school bus driver who has kids or who has like mortgages or family, you know, than my pros and cons, who, you know. So I just wanted to share that part. So here are my pros and cons. So let's start with pros, because actually guys, my cons actually outweigh. I was writing this and I was like, damn, my cons outweigh my pros. You always gotta have your cameo. Say hi.
Hi guys, she's so mean.
Oh well, no I'm not. Zori loves me. Alright, so my pros. My pros are in no specific order. It's driving a school bus is independent work. So obviously you're left alone. You are the only one driving the bus. Depending on like what company you work for, you might have, or school district you work for, you might have bus aides. But once again, they're not driving the bus. You are. So so that's a pro for me. Another pro I forgot to mention is how work just feels like it goes by so fast. Let's say compared to like a 9 to 5 where you're just like sitting there waiting for time to go by in some jobs. Because when you're driving the bus, you're just constantly moving. So if you're driving 2-3 hours in the morning, I don't know, depends on your company. Well, those 2-3 hours feel like they go by so fast because you are constantly moving, going stop to stop. And then in the afternoon, like your PM run, some kids sometimes go home early or get picked up, so you might not even have to drop them off, so you can skip over their stop, and then you'll still get paid the same amount of money. So now you're getting done work quicker and still getting paid the same amount, which is really nice. Another pro for me for school bus driving is that you can consider it steady work. Because it's schools are, we all know the calendar of a school year, so there's always going to be work except for those holidays and spring breaks, the breaks of the school year. But for the most part, there's always going to be work. Another pro that I didn't mention in this video is that you get to have summers off, so you always get a break from work. So if you're someone, you know, that gets tired of doing the same thing every day, you do get a break in the summer. Another pro is like, for me, I like the split scheduling and the flexible hours that come with it. Granted, I do work in the midst of my split hours. I work in a school, so I like don't really get that time, those few hours in between my AM and PM shift or route. So it doesn't really necessarily, that one doesn't really necessarily like help me, but on days like off, like if I take off in the school or whatever, like it does help me. So I just like how it's split scheduling and it's flexible hours. So if you're someone that like wants some time in between, want to take a nap or something, there you go. Another pro is like you can kind of like build community relationships with your community, especially if you drive for like younger kids. I drive for high school kids, so they're not very social, and so my bus ride is very silent. But you can still, like, let's say if you have like little kids, like, you know, you're the bus driver for 3-4 years, like you're bound to grow relationships with those parents, because those parents are going to want to trust you and stuff like that because you're driving their kids. So it offers the opportunity to build community relationships. Another pro is like, depending on your company, you could probably pick up more hours. Like here, my company, you can pick up like trips if you want to do trips like outside of school hours. My company also offers like late runs. So like if you want to do late runs for school clubs and sports, there's also sports you can drive for sports if you want to drive. Like, so there's different opportunities that you can pick up more hours, which is a pro. Another pro for me is that this is a great betweener job. Like if you're in between jobs or you're trying to figure out what you want to do with yourself, I think this is a great job because, like I said, with the split scheduling, like let's say you work in the morning, the afternoon, and maybe you need that time in between to work on your own business. Maybe you're like trying to become an entrepreneur, or you just are like, I don't know, you're just trying to figure yourself out, and it just gives you, it kind of like driving a bus gives you that time to kind of just like figure out your own self. So I think it's a great in-between job. For my company, we don't have to deal with any of the mechanic maintenance. Like we don't have to deal, like if a bus breaks, if anything ever occurs, like we just call our boss and they take care of it. It's no harm to us. There's no, and depending on maybe what you do, if it's like you get in a crash or something, well clearly you're probably not going to be working here anymore. But when it comes to like oil changes, anything maintenance wise except for gas, we don't have to do, which is a huge pro. Those were really my pros, guys. Independent work, steady work, split scheduling, community relationships. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Pick up more hours, a good in-between job, no mechanic maintenance. Alright, so my cons. In no particular order, my cons, you can deal with challenging kids. I don't necessarily deal with challenging kids, but I've heard stories, so like that can be a con if you're not really one that can be personable with kids. It can be challenging for you. With my company, there's no benefits. I've heard other companies having benefits and stuff like that, but if you're someone that was looking for benefits, make sure you really do your research. I have to say low pay. Like and it's your perspective. Like for me, I could be okay with just doing the bus because I live at home and I don't have kids and I don't have major expenses. But I am trying to save more, so that's like one reason why I do work in the school. But yeah, I can't really say that I don't know, it depends. And it also depends, like for me, I don't drive as much probably. I don't know, it just really depends on your company, okay? So make sure you really just do your research on the pay, and because don't forget, it's split scheduling. So like you might have like 3 hours in the morning, 3 in the afternoon, that's 6, and then 6 times 10 days because you're only working 5 days a week. So 6 times 10, 20, or 6 times, what did I just say? Hold up. You're getting like probably 6 hours a day. 6 times 5 is 30, plus another week is another 60. You're probably getting like 60 hours in 2 weeks. Is that a lot? No, because you're usually getting 80 hours in a 9 to 5 job. So just, yes, the pay rates of buses can consider them, I guess, higher, on the higher end. Because I know some companies pay 25, some companies I think are even up to 35, some companies are, but you're getting less hours. So just like make sure you are aware of that when it comes to pay. To me, I feel like it's low pay. To me, another con, what you said?
I feel like it's low.
It's low pay. Zori said it's low pay. For me, driving can be tiring. Like I have realized for me, like sometimes in the morning, like I start my route at like 7 in the morning and I be having the most energy. I be like ready to drive. And then by the end of my drive, I am like a zombie. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so tired. And some of that is because like I put the heat on and I make myself real comfortable in this bus, and like you're just kind of driving like so to me driving can be really tiring, but it depends on who you are as a person. You may really enjoy driving, so it might not tire you. Another con is like the fact that you are driving other people's kids around, so there's obviously a safety concern that comes with that. So you just have to be aware that you are driving other people's kids around, which can be a con. Another con is limited career growth. You're not going to really kind of like evolve in school bus driving. There's not really higher positions. I guess in my company, the next higher position is maybe becoming the like I don't even know what you consider my boss, what he is. He's just like the person that does all the scheduling, like, or whatever that word, I can't think of it, coordinating of the bus drivers to the routes and doing all that. And then there's someone that's above him, but it's rare that you're going to be getting promoted in the bus industry. So look, and if you're not someone that's looking to be promoted, then hey, maybe it's not a con for you. But yeah, you know, if you're someone that's looking for career growth, there's not really career growth in school bus driving. I also have to say a con can be harsh on the body. Like if you guys saw, I had kind of made a video about think before you drive, because you have to realize you are sitting down for a lot of hours during your week of work, and sitting down can be really harmful on your lower part of your body, even on your back too, because I've noticed too sometimes when I'm driving, like I'll slouch a lot, so then like obviously that's not good on your like spine and your what's this word, with your posture and stuff like that, and you're doing that for hours on end for days of the week. So it can be like, driving can be harsh on your body, so just consider that too. Another con can be bus issues. There's been times where like people are on our little walkie machine saying how they broke down, so just know that you're, depending on how the buses are taken care of in your company, not even that part though, sometimes just buses, they're rode every day, they're constantly getting used, or you know, they start to get older, so there can have opportunities where your bus could break down. So just be aware of that, and you know, keep yourself cool, calm, and collective. Another con is the weather conditions on a bus. Y'all, when I tell you, when it is winter, like your bus is freezing. Even like if you give it time to warm up, it doesn't really warm up, I feel like, until you start driving your bus. So just know, like, you're gonna be real cold in 3-4 months when it's winter and stuff. It's still cold now in the morning sometimes, and just it's cold. And then in the summer or spring, or like when it starts to get hot, it be hot on these buses. So your working conditions, you can consider them to be sometimes not the greatest, but eventually the bus does warm up, or the bus may cool down if you have a good AC system. So you know, it does fade away throughout your bus ride. But yeah, y'all, I'm just saying, working conditions as a bus driver is not always the greatest. Another one is blind spots. Guys, there's like a lot of there can be blind spots on the bus when you're driving, especially with mirrors. Like, these mirrors are so helpful, don't get me wrong. You have your flat mirror, your convex mirror, your crossover mirrors, your school mirrors, like they're great, they help you drive so much. But these flat mirrors and these convex mirrors, when you're driving, they actually kind of block. Like, say you're at like a stop and you need to turn left, or need to turn right. Well, this mirror it kind of blocks you from seeing if a car is coming. So you really have to like move and make sure no cars are coming, because it's really just this one. And all buses are different, all mirrors are different too, where they're placed, but for the most part, this mirror on your driver's side will sometimes block you from being able to see if a car is coming. I want to say maybe on the passenger side too, but yeah, just be careful, mindful of that when it comes to just blind spots on a mirror on a bus. There's it can be a con depending. And then the last one I wrote on here is traffic. Depending on like if you're doing trips or wherever you live, you could live in a city or something like that. There could be more traffic. If you're not one that likes to sit and wait, then it might not be good for you to drive a bus. But I think that's really it. Those are the things to just kind of consider if you're someone that's thinking about driving a bus. But yeah, I hope I didn't ramble on too much, guys. But yeah, guys, I hope that's helpful for anyone that may be curious if they want to drive a bus. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.
So what is that?
What? I think this is, I actually don't know, Zoe, because I don't drive this bus. I don't drive this bus.
Can you see something?